Alright, so this just rolled in. It's a 1991 Toyota 4Runner. It has the swapped 3.4 instead of the 3.0 V6 that's usually in there this year. So, just came in, just bought it. It sort of runs, sort of doesn't. Needs a little bit of wiring that needs to be done. And the engine's like turns on and cuts off after a little bit. Haven't played with it yet. Just came in, so I'm going to start cleaning it up, vacuum the inside, get it cleaned, and then we'll pull it in and replace a few sensors and see if that fixes it. Hopefully that's as easy as that. But clean it up just to get the inside looking good, and then we'll start working on the engine. The 1991 Toyota 4Runner is known for its reliability. It's a Toyota. It works great. It looks fine. Everything seems to work pretty good. It has the suspension is easily modifiable. The body is rugged and metal. The interior is rugged enough to withstand many miles. This car already has over 300,000 miles. The condition is pretty decent, I'd say, for that. You can always find some parts other places. We're going to start by cleaning it up, get it clean so we can work on it, get all those oils off of it, a lot of that dust and dirt, so we can work on it without getting all greased up. This is not something we have to do, but something we like to do to make it easier to work on, and less garbage inside the garage when we put it in there. My first step is to continue cleaning and get the interior clean, make sure there's no needles in here. Old cars like this, especially when you get them for cheap. Be careful, they might have some like heroin or meth paraphernalia and you don't want to poke yourself. It'd be a bad time. So get everything clean, use sticks and other things and be careful. Wash things out. The interior smelled pretty bad, so I ended up washing the seats as well, but everything was washed out. Wow guys, take a look. Almost made my money back already. Okay, so while the car's getting pressure washed, I want to show you what I want to do to see if we can fix anything. So we don't have an OBD2 right now, just because of the swap and how it was done. It wasn't put in. So essentially on the intake, what I want to do is take this whole area off just because of these two sensors. And we're going to see, and also with the vacuums, because of these sensors, so this sensor, and then the vacuum, and we'll clean the throttle body out here. I want to replace this section onto, this will stay on the engine, so we'll replace this silver part here. And check all the vacuum tubes, start it up, spray engine starter fluid all around to see if there's any vacuum leaks, and see if possibly the sensors might even just fix the problem. So, and then from there, we'll see how it runs, if it runs. And if that works, our next step is to get new gaskets on the valve covers, oil change, fluid change, all that stuff. So that's what we're going for now. So the wiring is also a pretty big mess because the actual harness to change from a 3.0 to 3.4 engine is pretty expensive, so the previous owner rigged it himself. There was a lot of wiring errors, things were plugged in the wrong place, things that needed to be plugged in weren't, so, and also wiring connections were pretty bad, so ended up soldering a lot of connections that were just twisted on and taped together with electrical tape, and putting on heat shrink to kind of help keep the water out of it and keep the connections better. This is the difference between the spark plug. The one on the right has 2 points. That's what these 4Runners are supposed to take. Not exactly sure why. I used to know, but in general, basically, these 4Runners need to have that spark plug. Okay guys, we're back at it. We pushed the truck into the garage just because they promised rain for a couple days, but no rain came. Doesn't matter, we're in the garage, we're covered, it's nice in here. The story is, the engine was running, we got it to start and run, but generally what it would do is it would run for about 30 seconds and then kill itself. So we thought there was a sensor problem where maybe the crank and the cam sensor aren't agreeing with each other, so timing could be a problem. When I took the top timing cover off, I noticed that the timing marks, they were regular on both of them. They were 8 teeth off. So not that they were off of each other, but the timing marks weren't in the right spot. So, and the previous owner said he just changed the timing belt. Timing belt does look brand new, but it looks like it wasn't put in correctly. So just gonna take it out, just gonna double check it, set it back in, make sure that's right on. We checked the cam sensor. We tried replacing the cam sensor. Not sure, nothing really changed. So thinking ECU, put another ECU and it seemed to work pretty good, but the issue then was that when it would idle if you held the throttle in the right position, but tiny little bit of gas, it just dies. So now I'm thinking that it's more likely a fuel issue, more likely either the fuel filter is clogged or the fuel pump isn't pumping enough. So we're just gonna work on the timing. We're just gonna set that, make sure that's good, make sure everything's in there is good since we're pretty much there already, and then we'll work on the fuel system. Maybe get a new fuel filter and then test the fuel pressure. So that's the story now. Just gonna keep on going, see what's going on in there. So we took apart the timing. We're gonna take off the bottom end and see what's going on down there. Because at the top everything seemed fine. Okay, so we set the timing up. We were checking it. Everything seemed fine. I thought the teeth were off, but then we took a look, and if you count right up here, let's see if I can get my finger in there. Right there is a broken tooth. That's probably where all my problems are from, so taking it all off, I'm going to replace that. And here we are priming the grenade. This is the tensioner. This is how we put it back together so we don't have to buy a new one. You just take a vise, clamp it back in, put the pin in, and then put it back in place and pull the pin out. And the timing is going back in place. 2 hands is pretty good if you don't have the tool to hold things in place. This helps line the timing marks up and get everything back aligned. Okay, let's see, here's a caliper. Alright, go ahead, hit the brakes. See, the fluid's just dumping out of it. So, need a new caliper on this side. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to jack it up, take the tire off, take the caliper off, go buy a remand one from O'Reilly's, and then put it all back together and probably take it for a spin. We re-greased the hubs here. The bearings are greased up again, everything's cleaned out. The bearings are in pretty good condition. This car's like 300,000 miles, so I was really surprised. But new rotors, put everything else back in there. New caliper on one side, the other side just gets a new rotor. Next step, cut off that cherry bomb. We're going to use some of these exhaust pieces just because of the bends. There it goes, chopping it off. And I'm just going to add a muffler that I picked up at a junkyard. Then we put on some new tires, new rims, give it a tiny little bit of lift, and I think it looks a lot better. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I cut out a lot of stuff in there just for sake of time. The video is probably too long anyway. There's just so much that had to be done on this thing. It was all just a hobby. Really not worth my time, honestly. If I spent that time at work, I could have bought myself probably a new 4Runner. But a lot of paint has been cleaned up. This is what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. Interior is kind of put together. It's been cleaned up. it's been washed because it smelled really bad. It's mainly the driver's seat, so I washed it really good. Now it does not smell at all. It's been standing here honestly like a year. I barely drive it. No coolant is leaking, no oil is leaking. Everything just works. It's a Toyota, I guess.